of the year, people. Good afternoon and welcome to one of the final insights and innovations for the year. Very, very excited to have our good partners at CRITEO here. So thank you guys for your partnership, but more importantly for your support of the independent sector. You know, without your support, we wouldn't be able to achieve what we've been able to achieve in the last year, including the LearnX Awards, including the FLOP program, Pitchella, and the constant promotion and evangelism of independence. So thank you very much. Also, just a quick reminder as well that the conference has been announced for the 19th of February. We have some of the biggest speakers in our industry for our biggest and best event ever. And just keep an eye out for that for the 19th of February and make sure you come to that. There's going to be CEOs from Channel 9, ARN, News Corporation, Mamma Mia. There'll also be panels from about data privacy. There'll be panels on growth. There'll be talks from Adam Ferrier. There'll be talks from Tim Burrows talking about the future of media, and that's just getting us started. But I won't go on about that anymore. We're going to talk here, talking about CRITEO, and they've got a fantastic presentation. We're about to hear from Andrew Lyon about the evolution of performance marketing, how to harness the power of e-commerce data. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Andrew to take things over. Andrew, over to you.
Thank you, mate. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me today on this presentation. My name, as Sam mentioned, is Andrew Lyons, and I'm the Senior Enterprise Account Executive at CRITEO. And for today, I want to dive into the evolution of performance marketing, especially into that next wave of commerce media, which is becoming more and more prevalent these days in terms of conversations you're having with clients and teams internally. I will also show you how CRITEO is advancing its position on performance marketing and how we're creating a leading edge proposition. So firstly, what I want to go through with you guys is a bit of a zoom out first and discuss how we got here and then where we're headed. So commerce media is the next big wave in digital advertising. There's a lot of talk around it at the moment, either through how you might be working around your data or in terms of potentially new walled gardens coming into action with retail media. You know, the likes of the Cartologies, Coles 360s, those guys are starting to become more and more prevalent in this space. And if you look at this graph here, you can see in just 5 years, commerce media as a portion of, I guess, digital media has been able to reach $30 billion USD in ad spend. And to put that achievement into wider context, you can see it took social media 11 years and it took search 14 years to hit that level of spend. So it is accelerating like nothing else. And there's a lot of reasons for that. So if I take a look at the path to predictive commerce, we started the 2010s with what we call broad-based marketing, probably more commonly seen in terms of what was what sort of platforms you'd be using. It would be Google, which is obviously still very much around today. Media spending was predominantly with keyword targeting, and it was capturing significant budgets. The data types and signals you would be seeing in this area would be based on search queries, potential website context, and basic demographics. The challenges that we saw with this, or as we know them now, limited user insight, potentially a lack of personalization, and siloed data. Obviously, Google holding majority of that data, it being very siloed. So at this time, CRITEO's position was very much a market leader in retargeting, and we were leveraging purchase intent signals and website data for efficient performance campaigns. Moving then on to, probably more what we're very much used to now, in the era of potentially 2010, 2020, we're looking at people-based marketing, which I'm sure everyone's heard that term. Media spending here was rapidly growing, with social media taking, the big portion of that, and programmatic channels attracting significant investment as well. The types of data we were looking at here were social media profiles, browsing behaviors, interests, and more detailed demographics. But as you might all be aware of recently, this starts to raise privacy concerns. There's also a lot of questions around data fragmentation and then the cookie deprecation that may or may not occur. We're still waiting on word on what that will be. So CRITEO's position at this time was expanding beyond retargeting. So we were very much retargeting only in the previous stage, and at this point we were more broadening out our channels and our approach and our audience data to embrace social, which we partner with Meta on our solution, and utilizing our commerce data to apply cross-platform targeting and cross-inventory targeting as well, being able to achieve that across video, BVOD, display, native, and now Meta. But moving forwards, from what we see is sort of the 2020s onwards, and this will be the area that I think a lot of businesses will shift towards, and somewhere we've shifted. The media spending here is somewhat emerging still, but this will be an area which focuses predominantly on commerce outcomes and closed loop measurement. So those platforms and businesses that can tackle those solutions or provide those outcomes will be the ones that come up on top as we move into the next era of predictive marketing. The types of data and signals that we see at this point are purchase history, general commerce data, intent signals, and commerce signals. And the challenges for that at the moment is that we are potentially integrating siloed data across multiple platforms. And we need to continue to work on how measuring cross-channel impact and attribution modeling will work. So if you think of, in this space, potentially looking at a retail media player like Coles 360 or with CRITEO, our partnership with Uber Eats, these are walled gardens essentially now, and their attribution is siloed within the platform because all of the conversions and opportunities are occurring within the platform. There isn't any transition off to a client's website or a brand's website. It is all done within one ecosystem. So therefore, the cross-channel attribution can be a challenge. But our position, I guess, at this point in time is leveraging our unique understanding of the intersection of marketing and commerce. And CRITEO has the potential to become a market leader in predictive marketing. It's very much how our sort of underlying brand has been built because we are very focused on AI and machine learning technology, and that has been the case for the last 15 years. So we are trying to push that narrative as much as possible to make sure people are ready for what will be the next phase of marketing solutions. A little bit more on that path to predictive commerce. So when I dive in a little bit more, what does it mean? What do I mean by predictive commerce? So let's take a look at the evolution of technology that improves the audience intelligence in online marketing. So in the early 2000s, as I mentioned before, we used contextual signals, which at that time potentially lacked personalization and offered limited user insight. As we move into people-based, we started to shift towards audience signals built off potentially social media activity, demographics, and other browsing behavior. But as signal loss potentially threatens many of these signals, there is a need to shift to deterministic data. And looking forward then to predictive, this is really based on transactional signals built around your SKU, such as commerce data, purchase history, intent signals, and this will help you reach anyone and everyone interested in your products. The SKU is not only deterministic, it is the unifier of the audience. No matter how fragmented or different their interests and demographics are, they're all viewers or buyers of the same product or solution. You're essentially building your audiences from the bottom up, using real-time purchase data and signals to find more buyers for every single product. Personalization and precision are keys to success of profitable growth, and SKU-level precision can aid in that growth. Now, we're entering a new era, as I mentioned, and the advertising industry has been using technology for many years to predict outcomes and personalize customer experience. We've gone from placing ads directly in the analog era of magazines, newspapers, radio, TV, and even hard coding ads during the early days of the internet, to now automating the repetitive parts of those media buying processes and using machine learning to make decisions based on past behaviors. In the past several years, marked by the public launch of platforms like OpenAI and generative AI, but even before then, new technology emerged, advertisers to buy media based on what consumers are likely to do next, and even larger volumes of data than ever imagined. So we worked out with our closest advertisers globally. We needed to understand a little bit how these behaviors are going to impact what they think their business is going to do, or what consumers think that what the impact this is going to have on their behaviors moving forward. And as a result of the technological progress, consumers now expect companies to deliver personalized experiences and favor those who do. Companies who deliver a personalized experience see, on average, a 25% increase in revenue, and benefit from consumers who are more willing to make a purchase and make a repeat purchase. Prediction and personalization have changed how consumers interact with brands, as well as the expectations of the brand experience. 71% of customers expect businesses to provide personalized experiences. 76% are more likely to consider purchasing from brands who deliver a personalized experience, and 78% are more likely to make repeated purchases from brands who have personalized experiences. And as you would probably know, a lot of these players on the slide I've got here are companies that have done this successfully using prediction and personalization, either to disrupt or dominate their markets. So within these examples who have used prediction and personalization to disrupt or dominate, whether in entertainment, personal finance, health, shopping, or elsewhere, one example I think is really strong, and something on platform I use all the time, is Spotify. They have used AI to create more than 615 million tailored experiences. Each Spotify user has a unique relationship and ever-evolving soundtrack, complete with their artists, genres, and creators that they love, to bring them back and continue listening and discover new content. 81% of Spotify users cited personalization as the thing that they like most about Spotify. And I think for anyone who uses it, you might feel the same way. And these companies benefit from that closed ecosystem and their massive audiences. They are highly specific, they use granular data on their platforms, and they're purpose-built. They use proprietary AI to deliver such exceptional experiences. Sticking with Spotify, by analyzing users' listening habits, they can identify listening moods and update playlists 3 times each day, morning, afternoon, and evening. And I have those playlists set up, and it's very interesting to see how, based on, I guess, my general use of the Spotify platform, how my mood, or how at least Spotify thinks my mood changes between the day. Maybe if it's Friday morning, I'm really excited, but maybe it's Monday morning, not so much. However, open web advertising, or at least the advertising outside the largest walled gardens, hasn't necessarily replicated the formula. As we're all aware, consumers find advertising intrusive, and advertisers aren't convinced personalization is effective in paid media. Additionally, as we probably all experience as consumers ourselves, we're not great at predicting what people are actually likely to buy. And nearly 3 in 4 customers never purchase the products they add to cart. This is largely because we continue to rely on imperfect data, including 1, data that only reflects customer characteristics or attributes, or 2, data that reflects what people have purchased and not what they're actually shopping for, or actively, shopping for. And then 3, targeting specific environments and platforms that only reflect one part of the buying journey. And signal loss will also impact user targeting. This represents one of the largest challenges for media buyers moving forward. While Google may have backed off a full deprecation of the third-party cookies, other browsers such as Safari and Firefox have already blocked their usage. With the new path for Google, seems to be changes in their settings. If Apple ATT is anything to go by, we can expect to see opt-out of cookies of around 50%. We need sources of data that are privacy compliant and can drive growth for sales and media buyers. So the challenge with this approach is the buying journey today is far more complex and disjointed. The way people buy has changed forever and evolved from going shopping to always shopping. Commerce is integrated into all aspects of our life. Commerce is integrated into all aspects, Consumers can now make purchases in virtually any environment, and nearly every piece of real estate, real or virtual, is monetized and made for consumers to make near instant purchases. It's even more challenging to understand who is actually shopping for your brand and products, because consumers are constantly exposed to products and opportunities to make purchases. Only CRITEO is able to understand more of this behavior than anyone else due to our unique and scaled connections to e-commerce, retailers, and publisher sites, the activity across search, content, and ad interactions. This all combined provides a significant amount of data for you to trust, for consumers to understand the privacy within it, and activate across multiple different touch points across the buying journey. So we here at CRITEO are very cognizant of the growth of commerce media, and we are looking to continue to unleash the capabilities that we have sitting behind the platform and the data. As I mentioned, CRITEO has also built proprietary technology over the 25 years to analyze, normalize, and classify these shopping signals. As you saw on the slide before, there's a significant amount of data there, and I'm pretty sure no one is able to read through any of that and start to infer and make any sort of, assumptions on what's going to happen. So in more recent years, CRITEO AI Lab has innovated using the latest advancements in embeddings, deep learning, and generative AI to make highly accurate predictions and produce hidden correlations between users, products, and buying patterns. This allows CRITEO to identify more people with a higher likelihood to visit specific sites or purchase specific products. CRITEO AI then scores, ranks, and classifies users based on what they're likely to do next, which, as we know from the initial sort of setup, is the challenge that we're facing. We need to be moving to predictive and personalized messaging and away from static-based demographic interest targeting when we talk about the people-based marketing from before. Commerce audiences uses shopping signals and AI to create groups of people who are predicted to be interested and make a specific purchase. There are 4 groups of commerce audiences. 1, CRITEO audiences that use shopping data and browsing signals across e-commerce and publisher sites. Number 2 would be retailer audiences that use shopping signals from a retailer sites for activation by their brand partners. 3 is the advertiser audiences that use shopping signals from an advertiser's CRM for their own campaign purposes. And 4, custom audiences that allow advertisers to mix and match shopping signals based on their own business objective and insights. These audience groups are further refined into 8 audience types for all the unique objectives of an advertiser. These audiences are tested, validated, and proven to achieve those KPIs. So as you can see, there's a lot of diversity in how you can approach using commerce audiences in the future. If I take an example of in-market, one of our most activated segments within our platform, these are areas where you can build out specific product-led or potentially category-led audiences. If I take TVs, for example, if you look at the total category, you might be looking at home and electronics, but you can break it down into specific products that sit underneath that. So you could have TVs, you could have soundbar, you could have, trying to find examples now, computers, those sorts of things. They'll appear under that as a specific product that you can target. And the more granular you get, obviously the smaller the audience gets, but the more refined your targeting might be. So if you are trying to pinpoint a specific product to sell to specific people, then that would be a great solution for you. Behavioral, on the other hand, is an amalgamation of a significant amount of in-market signals to provide a persona-based or behavioral-based approach to that individual, to a group. So an example of that might be young families, and the signals that might contribute to that could be that they are purchasing baby clothes, baby formula, baby shopping, baby wheelers. I'm trying to remember what that is. I don't have a kid, so bear with me. But that's the sort of signals that will pop up into those sorts of segments, along with many others, to provide the context on who someone might be based on their purchases. So what this all leads to as well is the impact that our clients see as well. And moving in towards the predictive wave using the commerce data, we see significant performance gains for all of our clients. So I've got a couple of case studies here that I'll run you through, just so you can see what that uplift actually looks like. So these are white labeled, but you potentially might be able to guess at times who these might be. So we had a department store attract more high-end buyers with their commerce audiences. The goals we received from the brand were to increase brand awareness, attract luxury shoppers to the site, and drive purchases of high-priced products. The approach we took was using prospecting audiences for mass appeal, activating in-market audiences for category and brand level targeting, and then create a predictive audience to identify likely top spenders. The results we saw off the back of this was a 4 times return on ad spend for new customers and a 10x return for existing customers. So a very effective campaign. It was actually a campaign where we were able to prove out the methodology and build a long-term approach with the client. Again, another case study here. This one's touching on the ever fun and underpinning measurement strategy of last click, but just to prove that this approach continues to work no matter how you sort of look at it. The online marketplace increased their revenue with always on commerce audiences. So what they wanted to do was increase product awareness and interest. They wanted to grow the customer base. And then what we provided to them was to test multiple audiences simultaneously, learn and iterate quickly. With the commerce audiences and any commerce data, it's constantly being refreshed and analyzed and then built into specific segments. So you can ramp these up pretty quickly and make sure that of whatever segment you decided was the best to go for, or multiple segments that you might have gone for, that you have the ability to chop and change that around. You might assume that people who are interested in buying a TV would sit within a specific vertical. Obviously, those who are interested in buying a TV, but above that, if you went for a category. But you might find that there's a lot of tangential sort of in-market segments that also lead to an interest in potentially buying a TV. So what we did was build out multiple segments, perform an analysis on the results after 2 weeks, and then we came back with a refinement to that strategy, and then the results at the bottom there speak for themselves. So we're able to drive 2 times last click rise for new customers and a 6 times last click rise for existing customers. Also working with the holdcos, we launched commerce audience deals for major gaming console brands. This was in the US, but I thought I'd show something a little bit different to the retail ones I just showed before. But we were given the goal to reach US gaming console enthusiasts. We wanted to focus on parents with children living in the household. And then the approach we provided back was use on-site deterministic signals and model data from publisher content, browsing to create custom gaming audiences, and then drive highly engaged gaming console shoppers to the brand's website. And again, you can see the results down the bottom there. We saw really high engagement for those who landed on the site. So we were more tasked then on driving better engagement, lower bounce rates, higher time spent on website, versus potentially either the more lower funnel objectives or even the more upper funnel objectives. And we also saw a 250% increase in CTR with the buy now call to action, which previously was more a learn more, understand more, or something like that. So what I want to sort of start to wrap up here with, I've got 2 more slides, and then if there's any questions, please let me know. But regardless of what does or doesn't happen with third cookies, commerce audiences are designed for the future using all available signals. There'll be a lot more providers that come into market that will be talking to these sorts of strategies. So I highly recommend you dive deeper into those and understand how that's achieved. And as I mentioned with retail media, this is a huge growth area within our industry in Australia, but globally, it's one of the fastest growing media channels in the world. So as I said, regardless of what does or doesn't happen with third-party cookies, commerce audiences are designed for the future using all available signals. And CRITEO uses high-fidelity identity signals to build those audiences and test each signal for performance before scaling. Additionally, commerce audiences rely on a product and contextual signals to inform the AI models. And I think the product part is that really key piece there. A lot of the work that we do is based around SKU level data because it's not biased in any way. You either buy it or you don't. And that gives us a lot of information. And finally, as mentioned, CRITEO uses the latest advancements in AI to generate highly accurate predictions using disparate data and fewer signals. I did speak as well towards obviously the privacy work that's being done, and from our point of view, CRITEO does all of this while adhering to the strictest privacy standards, as we're actually a French-based company. Our head office is over there. We've had to go through all of the GDPR work, all the CCPA stuff as well that's happened, and probably will start to happen here in Australia, as we know there's more work being done on the Privacy Act here too. So in addition to following all the relevant global privacy standards and legislations, commerce audiences only uses consented data, and that is properly collected by its partners and never uses PII. To ensure compliance, CRITEO regularly monitors its partners' data collection methods and ensures measures are taken for consumers to understand and exercise their individual rights. Finally, CRITEO takes a step to ensure data is aggregated and individual data sets can't be identified, directly targeted, or shared with a third party. And by starting with the right audience and people, advertisers can ultimately deliver more personalized experiences and drive more outcomes. Advertisers don't have to sacrifice quality for scale and can expand their reach and generate audiences likely to perform using high fidelity data from across the buyer journey. At the same time, by analyzing real-time user behavior, commerce audiences offer advertisers the ability to tailor campaigns with greater precision and the ability to anticipate the preferences and interests of customers. Finally, by targeting the right audience, commerce audiences help advertisers identify and allocate resources directly towards the user with a high likelihood of converting to enable more efficient and cost-effective advertising. So that hopefully gives you an idea of what commerce data is, what the future of commerce media is, the different areas that will start to be impacted or affected, if not already, what you can do about the advancements in commerce media, and I guess the exciting journey that is coming up ahead. We are working now more towards more precision than ever. So I guess for any of the digital media buyers out there, a lot more analysis potentially, or hopefully not. There'll be a lot of really interesting ways to start to target customers and move from what we were talking about before, broad-based into people-based, now into predictive, which hopefully makes everyone's job a lot easier moving forward in finding the right customer. And we expect, along with ourselves, many platforms to go in this direction. So our job here at CRITEO is to try and help aggregate a lot of that information and try and help aggregate a lot of the access as well. So when we look towards our retail media business, we are working very closely with our retailers in making sure that they are open and available to everyone, that they don't necessarily go down a walled garden route, and that media buyers, clients that you might be working with can access multiple retailers in one platform. That's one of the biggest challenges right now is that fragmentation. So we here at CRITEO continue to work on that. It's very much been sort of achieved to a level over in the US, with us absolutely dominating the retail media space over here. And now it's our turn in Australia to try and do the same. So hopefully that was an interesting session for you guys on the next big wave of advertising. But if there's any questions, if you have time for questions, please let me know.
Thank you very much, Andrew Lyons. Is there any questions from anyone? Often there isn't.
That's fine. Feel free to email me after if you have any.
Yeah, we can connect. CRITEO and Andrew Lyons, thank you so much for that presentation. Very interesting, and clearly the future of where retail media is and where it's going to go to. Thank you, members, for tuning in. And any questions, just reach out, and we'll talk to everyone next week. See you guys.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.